James Abram Garfield, the 20th President of the United States, holds a rather tragic yet inspiring place in American history. His presidency was cut short by an assassin's bullet, but his life and legacy remain significant. Despite his limited time in office, Garfield's accomplishments and the circumstances surrounding his death left a lasting impact on American politics. In this article, we will explore his early life, rise to prominence, presidency, assassination, and the effects of his brief tenure on the country. James A. Garfield was born on November 19, 1831, in Orange Township, Ohio, to Abram and Eliza Garfield. His father, Abram, died when James was just a young child, leaving the family in financial difficulty. His mother, a determined and resourceful woman, ensured that her children received a basic education, although the family's circumstances made formal schooling difficult. Garfield was largely self-educated and demonstrated an early aptitude for learning. Garfield's intellectual potential was recognized by local community members who supported his education. As a young man, Garfield attended the Western Reserve Eclectic Institute, now Hiram College in Ohio. His ability to excel in his studies earned him the position of a teacher at the school, and later he became a principal. In 1854, he graduated from the institute and later attended Williams College in Massachusetts, where he graduated in 1856 with honors. His academic success, despite humble beginnings, would serve him well as he embarked on a career in public service. Garfield's early political career was shaped by his experiences during the Civil War. Initially, he had no intention of entering politics. However, his passion for public service led him to become involved in the abolitionist movement, which advocated for the end of slavery in the United States. This passion, coupled with his belief in the preservation of the Union, led him to become an ally of the Republican Party, which was the party of Abraham Lincoln and the abolition of slavery. Garfield's political career began in earnest when he was elected to the Ohio State Senate in 1859. He quickly became known for his articulate speeches, moderate views, and firm stance against the expansion of slavery into the territories. He served in the Ohio Senate until 1861, when the outbreak of the Civil War reshaped his career. At the outbreak of the Civil War, Garfield was eager to serve his country and joined the Union Army. He was commissioned as a lieutenant colonel and placed in charge of the 42nd Ohio Infantry Regiment. His military career was marked by steady advancement. Garfield's leadership abilities were recognized by his superiors, and he quickly rose through the ranks, eventually achieving the rank of Major General. Garfield's military experience was noteworthy. He fought in key battles such as the Battle of Shiloh and was involved in several successful campaigns. His most significant contribution came in 1863 during the Battle of Chickamauga, where he played an essential role in the Union victory. His military career made him a hero among Ohioans and helped cement his reputation as a capable and competent leader. After his military service, Garfield transitioned into political life. In 1863, he was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives, where he would serve for 17 years. Garfield quickly made a name for himself in Congress with his intelligent speeches and thoughtful positions on a variety of issues. His stances on economic policy, civil rights, and Reconstruction were especially noteworthy. Garfield was a firm believer in a strong federal government, and he supported legislation that aimed to provide education, civil rights, and economic opportunities for newly freed African Americans. He was also an advocate for the expansion of the nation's infrastructure, particularly the construction of the Transcontinental Railroad. Despite his Republican leanings, Garfield was known for his independent thinking and was not afraid to challenge the more radical members of his party. Throughout his time in Congress, Garfield was committed to national unity and worked to bridge the divisions between North and South during the Reconstruction period. By 1880, Garfield's reputation as a skilled politician and military hero had led him to the national stage. The Republican Party, still dealing with divisions left over from the Civil War and Reconstruction, was in need of a unifying figure. Garfield was seen as a moderate able to bridge the gap between the factional elements of the party. His political acumen and national recognition made him an ideal candidate. At the Republican National Convention in 1880, Garfield was not initially a frontrunner. The battle for the Republican nomination was fierce, with prominent figures like Ulysses S. Grant and James G. Blaine vying for the top spot. However, the convention was deadlocked, and a consensus candidate was sought. Garfield, who had not actively campaigned for the presidency, emerged as a compromise candidate. He was nominated on the 36th ballot, securing his place as the Republican nominee. In the general election, Garfield faced off against Winfield Scott Hancock, a former Union general who ran as the Democratic candidate. Garfield's campaign focused on his military experience, his moderate political views, and his ability to bring stability to the nation after the divisive years of Reconstruction. Garfield won a narrow victory, securing 48.3% of the popular vote and 214 electoral votes to Hancock's 155. Garfield was inaugurated as the 20th President of the United States on March 4, 1881. His presidency began with a sense of optimism and hope for national unity and reform. However, his time in office would be tragically short. Garfield's presidency was marked by his efforts to reform the federal government, particularly in relation to the spoils system. The spoils system was a practice in which political appointments were given to supporters and friends of politicians rather than individuals who were qualified for the positions. Garfield was determined to address this issue and reform the civil service. Additionally, Garfield worked to strengthen the nation's economy, focusing on protecting American industry through tariff reform and supporting the construction of railroads. He also sought to modernize the military and improve the nation's foreign relations. Despite his ambitious agenda, Garfield's presidency was ultimately overshadowed by the events of July 2, 1881. On July 2, 1881, just 4 months into his presidency, Garfield was shot by Charles J. Guiteau, a disgruntled office-seeker who was upset over not being appointed to a government position. Guiteau approached Garfield as he was walking through a railroad station in Washington, D.C., and fired 2 shots. One bullet grazed Garfield's arm, while the other lodged in his back near his spine. Although Garfield was conscious immediately after the shooting, he was in considerable pain. Guiteau's attack was driven by a belief that his actions would help the country and make him a national hero. However, his actions were purely motivated by personal frustration, as he was attempting to gain government position through political patronage. Garfield was taken to the White House, where doctors attempted to treat him. However, their methods were rudimentary by today's medical standards, and their attempts to remove the bullet caused further damage. Garfield's condition worsened over the next few weeks, and he was ultimately unable to recover. On September 19, 1881, Garfield died from infections related to his wounds. He was 49 years old. James A. Garfield's death shocked the nation. His assassination highlighted the serious problems with the spoils system and the need for civil service reform. In the wake of Garfield's death, Congress passed the Pendleton Civil Service Reform Act in 1883, which established a merit-based system for federal employment and marked a turning point in the fight against patronage. Garfield's legacy endures as a symbol of the possibilities for reform and national unity in a time of political divisions. Though his time in office was brief, His contributions to the country and his ultimate sacrifice left an indelible mark on the United States. Please like and subscribe for more historical content.